Hey, you know, it's the Building Downtown. You can follow us on social media at the Building DT. You can follow, subscribe to the show on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm your host, Jason Kelly. You can follow me at JKellyMMA. Follow my co-host, Kirill Kasatskiy at Crow Raps. Other co-host, Amy Barton, cannot be here today, unfortunately. You can follow her at Ames Bell, though. And today's show is brought to you by Halo Massage Therapy. Halo Massage Therapy is located at 148 Denrick Avenue, Tillsonburg, Ontario. Fully registered with CMTO, offers direct billing to all insurance companies. So make sure you hit them up. Halo Massage Therapy. Get your massage on. Get yourself fixed up. So we're back to business. KOTD season 1 just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. December 18th, we kick off the playoffs, and the guest we have joining us today, you've seen him as tournament flex. You're going to see him as playoff flex, and today he's podcast flex. Madflex, thanks for joining us, my man.
Hello, sir. It's good to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. And I like before we get started, you got that fucking dope ass fucking room where the creativity happens in the background.
Yeah, we give it one last flash. You got the pipes, the Mario, everything. It's a cozy spot for me, man.
What's with the boxes? Those are action figures? Collectibles?
Funko Pops. Yep, those are collectibles. Then they never come out of the box. They're gonna stay in them until they're sold. So yeah.
Holy shit!
How much is
is that worth some money there?
They do, yeah. They add up. I've got some that are pretty pricey. Like a lot of them kind of stay around base level, but the longer you have them and as they start to get vaulted, they add some value quick. It's honestly like a better investment than stock portfolio, to tell you the truth. They tend, like I have one that I bought at like $150 that's up to like $1,000. So
that market's still alive, right? Because before you used to, you know what I mean? I used to see these little stores with like comic books and action figures, but now I guess everything went online, so I don't see it as much on the street anymore, right? But I guess it's still alive and popping.
A little bit. It just depends. Like the collectible market's always going to have a market, right? Just because like there's always going to be somebody interested in something, and especially as they kind of go off, people's radars and they're harder to find. They become, because people start, it becomes more of an exclusive thing that people want, and as it gets older it just adds value. That's just kind of the collectible market.
You had other kinds of collectibles and shit too, or just those things?
No, not too much, just those. They take it's like, this is more like kind of just like a it's just something that I've developed that's like nostalgic in a sense, where like I'll pick up the ones that have something to do with my childhood or things that are like relevant to things in my life, just to kind of keep me active. And it's fun. It's like a treasure hunt. I think I'm like kind of a treasure hunter by nature, so I'll just go out and find stuff. It's like, oh, this came out, let me go find this, you know what I mean? So a buddy of mine he collects fucking like basketball cards and shit like that, and then he sells them. And I didn't know that there was still a market for that until like 2 weeks ago. When I was a kid, I still got a bin full of hockey cards. I don't know what to do with. I feel bad throwing them in the garbage. What the fuck else am I gonna do with them? I don't know. Right.
I'm not gonna sort through them and figure out what's worth money and what's not, because guaranteed 99% of them ain't worth shit.
Right. I know that recent stuff, like especially dudes like Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani and like baseball players and stuff, I know their merch is just through the roof because they're just on there. That they're going to end up breaking all of the all-time records for everything. It's like, so you get these special players and everyone just knows that like once all is said and done 20-30 years from now, it's just kind of like all the merch for those players is just going to be off the charts. So it starts early these days.
Let's get down to business. So you and Jonny Storm, round 1. I see you guys are already going at each other on Twitter, having some fun with it.
That guy.
I like the little video, man. That was cool. I had to pause it 3 times.
What was it? Here's Lou Cypher right here. He's smiling because friends are happy for friends.
Yeah, Lou is my guy, man. Lou, I'm really rooting for Lou in this tournament because like he's always been one of the top writers in battle rap for as long as I can remember, and I'm glad to see him getting some flowers in this because me and Lou have been real close for a long time. He's a good friend of mine, so I'm excited to see him really shine in this format. And he's a real life friend of mine, so I'm very glad to see him doing well.
Nice. Yeah, that's one cool thing about the bracket, the way it turned out, because if it's a one night event type thing, chances are you're not going to get a chance against some of the bigger names if you're not as big of a name. It's just the way shit works out. But in a season or a tournament, you have a chance to line up against someone and really show your skills. And you look at this bracket, how it came. I mean, at the start of the season, I'm sure a lot of people would have said Dunch will be here, Bill Collector will be here, but there's some guys
immediately one of them's out.
Yeah, no shit. That's crazy. I can't believe they set that up like that. And if you win, you get the privilege of battling one of those fucking guys.
Bro, I love it. Like, I mean, it's funny because like the politic game is always, you know, kind of like the rhythms of the battle rap community. It's like everyone's excited about Dungeon Bill Collector because as a first round battle, that's obviously a standout because they've both been people that have been talked about this entire season. Bill taking the L to XQZ changed everything because Bill, like realistically, if Bill doesn't take that L to XQZ, he doesn't drop you know, all those slots. He maintains that #1 spot. But that changed everything. So now it's the 1 seed and or the 2 seed and the 3 seed instead of, you know, 2 1 seeds, you know, like the way it pans out changed everything. And you could say the same thing about like a pass and a clone. You got 2 people that everyone was talking about that now one of them is gone in the first round, you know? So yeah,
that's nuts. How are they doing it? Is Jonny Storm coming to the West?
yeah, I think everybody is coming to the West. I think it's in LA, which benefits absolutely nobody because every single West person is from the Bay Area, which is 7 hours north of LA. So it's not a home game for us. So, you know, it's like, so even the West guys, I mean, you know, there's a familiarity amongst the West because we all, you know, are at shows together and, you know, but it's definitely not a home game. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how things play out. So, but I'm pretty sure they're all in Los Angeles.
There's still no crowd for this, right?
There will be, you know, you'll notice that in all of these battles, there's been kind of just a handful of a crowd. And I think in a lot of ways, you can blame COVID for that, but probably you could also blame the fact that they're not being necessarily marketed to be giant shows because it is kind of important to keep things kind of like, you know, intimate. So the crowd doesn't overwhelm the performances. You know, it looks very consistent as the rounds go on.
I find that at KOTD events, the crowd is actually pretty good because you watch some other leagues and a lot of the shit gets interrupted every 2 seconds. Woo, woo, you know what I mean? And I found that at KOTD, the crowds, I don't know if it's the crowd control or if it's the fans that actually show up there, but I find that dynamic works. You know what I mean?
It's a little bit, to tell you the truth, it's like, it's very inconsistent any given day. That's the thing about a crowd is that like you don't always know because you can go to KOTD shows and the one crowd from KOTD, you know, compared to the next one is going to be very different. It just really depends on the energy in the room, the willingness of people to get excited, the time of day, you know, like all of that stuff, how long they've been standing up. It's like all of those weird details and the intangibles that nobody really considers, they can make a big difference. So, but I will say the tournament has been very consistent in terms of like the energy that it's given the battlers. We're all kind of like working in a very consistent environment, which is good because you kind of know what you're looking for. I think things are going to get a little bigger now that the playoffs are started. So that should change the game a little bit. I imagine the crowd's going to get a little bigger because now there's a little bit more hype. So,
yeah. And are there any changes to the way the battles are running? Is there are they making any changes to time limits, scoring criteria, anything like that changing?
I know that the biggest consideration is the time limits because some people are just like abusing the shit out of it. So
no shit.
Yeah, it's like, you know, there's people that have been clocked at 4 or 5 minute rounds when we're supposed to go 2:30. And I think because of that,
double
like
time,
there's
really.
yeah, there's gonna and I mean you in some way they consider the you know, crowd reaction. They'll give you a little time if you get out of your material and the crowd gets into it and then you got to come back. They'll give you that time. But I do think that there's a level of kind of like you can overpower somebody with content, you know. So if you rap for 4 minutes and I rap for 2 minutes, I kind of look like I'm just taking a beating no matter what because of overwhelming with content. And I think now Lush, Organic, all of those dudes, they're very much getting in the pocket of like, we have to set the playing field equal because it creates a bias in terms of how powerful you look to just overwhelm with content. So that's my understanding is they're going to be a little bit stricter with the time limits and just hard cut, hand up and chop position when it's about to happen and just be like, be ready for that and make sure you don't write long. That's been the difference. And they did that for the 3rd matches of the season. And now I think they're just going to continue to implement that.
Yeah, and since the start of the season, which I think everyone knew, there's going to be little changes as the season goes on. It's the first one ever. They need to do this shit, right?
Right.
And I know some bottlers, some guys we talked to, they were pissed off because the changes, or maybe before changes were made, it affected them. Was there anything that affected you, or you like that did get changed, or you'd like to see get changed from?
Well, I mean,
previous
it's
seasons?
mostly about time limits because I had to, like, I was adapting my performances to the fact that people were going long, because no matter what, if there's a rule set and people are breaking it, I'm gonna break it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be left behind by being a rule abider. You know, it's like if you're
Everybody's
going
doing it.
long, exactly, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go long if you go long. I don't, like, I'm not gonna be at a disadvantage because you've decided to break the rules. I'm gonna break the rules too. So that's why, like, and I was, you know, I'm in a position where it's kind of like, I'm glad to see time being enforced because as that happens, we all are in a similar field where we can't overwhelm each other. We don't have to worry about breaking the rules. In my battle with Stewie, that was a consideration because I was already into long material before Lush was like, now we're doing hard cutoff. So I had to like finagle all of it and try to fit it all into that 230 because I wrote probably 245.3.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, because that's what everyone else was doing. And
Well,
but now
245
fair.
doesn't seem like too much of a stretch, you know, considering all the bullshit.
No, but it does add up. Like
when you go 3 and over, I think that's. But then at the same time, I've heard some 2.5-minute rounds that made it seem like they were fucking 10 minutes.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on on how good your material is, right? Like you could, like, a minute can be drawn out if nobody's saying shit, you know? So yeah, like, but extra time is always going to appear like a power. So
Yeah. No,
you know, if
everybody
you go
should
long,
be kept to the same time frame. That's for sure.
yeah. So I'm glad about that. It's a little frustrating because it's hard to fit everything you want to say into a 2.5 minute round, but like that's why you got to cut the fat and just make it hit, because it's too important to kind of just like, if you only have 230, you got to say all the right stuff.
Mm. Do you find that it's easier to stay in the zone when you're lined up like this? You knew in fucking like what, late spring, early summer, from now to the end of the year, you got these battles lined up. You know who the opponents are. You know there's something to look forward to. There's a playoff position. Is that easier to stay in the zone as opposed to wondering where the fuck's the next opponent going to be, what league, when, all that shit?
No, it's actually harder because
Really?
the stakes are higher, right?
Okay.
So when I first got booked, now here's been my journey in this whole thing. Like when I first got booked, I got booked against a battler named Real Name Brandon.
Yeah.
And Real Name Brandon actually went on to win the Ultimate Madness tournament in URL. Like he won 25K in it. He dropped out of the King of the Dot tournament to go do that tournament 10 days before we were supposed to battle. So I had all 3 rounds for Real Name Brandon before he pulled out. So, you know, after that happened, I was like on him a little bit. I'm like, oh, you're just gonna bail out, blah. Then he went 25K. I'm like, all right, do your shit. That's fine. You know, I can't hate on him for going and winning money. He made a smart choice. Like I'll eat that and I'll be fine. So then after that, I got booked against Bobby Lee, and they had to extend my time, which is why I wasn't with the other battlers. And so I got extended out another month, and so I had to prepare for him for that. And then so I'm like, okay, I got Bobby, and then I got the first 150 of the season. So automatically the pressure is very, very high. It's like, okay, I have to protect this at all costs. So I went out gangbusters. I only had 3 weeks to prepare for Fate because I was behind the curve of the prep. So 3 weeks of just sheer chaos of getting ready for Fate. And then after that, like the Stewie battle was like just a bad prep because life gets bad sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, but you're still thinking about like this giant big picture of, okay, I got to get through this to get into the postseason. And now I'm in the postseason, and this is where the money comes into play. So literally it's stressful all the time. Whereas I'm just booking battles in England. That's a great time. I go to England. I get to travel.
Yeah.
I get to, like, it's lighthearted. There's no consequences of winning and losing. Like I'm staring down. If I win 4 battles, I get $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you just like let that sit? You like, I'm working all the time on this shit. I'm really trying to.
Are you writing?
Right.
Are you writing for the possible opponent in the future? Like, are you looking past your opponent now and already getting some bars?
I could never ever. Well, the thing that I originally assumed that we were going to battle the North, like the West was going to be against the North. So I was writing for Bill Collector early. If he wins, then I'm in good shape. Dunch, I've got plenty to stay to. So, you know, I'll be okay there too. The only ones I'm really, really looking at right now are Bill and Dunch. But that being said, I cannot overlook Jonny, man. Jonny is a vet, And even though he has some qualities that are not necessarily translating well to today, he gets the job done with assertiveness. And so if I overlook Jonny, I'm going to look like an idiot. I mean, this is a guy that has a win over disaster judged. This is a guy that, has beaten legends. So do I really want to play with Jonny Storm? And the answer is no, not at all. And plus, he's done some shit that makes me not like him. So that makes the prep even more dangerous, because like it never has gone well for people who piss me off, bro. It just never has.
Yeah,
So,
for the most part, though, usually I assume you get along with your opponent, or at least have a healthy respect for them.
No, to tell you the truth, like I actually am perfectly willing to throw away any of the shit that this has brought out in people, right? Like it's $100,000 and people are getting petty. But like my only I actually don't mind Jonny Storm as a human being. He's good people. We've had positive interactions. My biggest problem with him is that he was in the Twitch chat in my battle with Stewie Newton in my first round, the only person in there saying that it wasn't enough, I was flat, this isn't it, blah, blah, blah. And I could take any criticism in the world for anybody, but from you to be in the tournament, trying to dictate the energy of the voters in the chat room is an unsportsman thing. I'm not going to say it's anything other than that. But when he did that, that gave me something to latch onto as you don't want to see me win. And you're in it because I just would never do that to any battle rapper in the tournament. Like I know how much work goes into this shit. So I would never like step on anyone's toes as they were trying to work through this tournament filled with weird shit and judges that we don't always agree with and all of the shit that goes on in it. It's not a criticism. It's an unsportsmanlike action from a dude in the tournament. It's not a fan. It's a dude in the tournament.
Have you noticed him doing it to anybody else, or is it you think it's just against?
He's a chatterbox. I mean, honestly, he likes to have opinions about shit, and I guess that's fine. But I think in general, it's just the fact that he was the only one leading the charge that I wasn't doing good. Nobody else was saying anything. It's just you, and you've left multiple comments about how I'm not getting the job done. So that's what it came down to for me.
I've seen energy like that in tournaments because the crowd is involved, so you play the crowd, right? And it's, if he obviously either sees you as a threat or maybe just doesn't like you, whatever it is, one or the other, right? But it is what it is. And I mean, like just like I said, I've seen energy like this when there's crowds involved, right? So they try to play the crowd, just like you said. So I'm not surprised at all, honestly.
No, I'm not either. Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Once this is all done, of this. Right. Yeah, well, exactly, right. But I think when it happened, it was one of those things where it's like, wait a second. Like, I don't see, to try to figure out who you would have to be in a chat of a tournament that you were in, giving negative energy to another battle that the work they've put in. Like, no matter what your feelings are, no matter how bad you want to have an opinion, to me, it's a matter of respecting the process. It's not about emotion.
You see MMA fighters and boxing fighters do the same shit too, right? So that's what I mean. It's just playing for.
Well, but this is a little different because you're talking to judges.
Might get him more views if he battles you. You know what I mean? Because this shit's already, people are gonna be like, oh, this bad energy from back in the day. Build it up, right? That's what sells tickets, right?
But it's a little different because you're talking to voters. You're talking to people whose votes count. If somehow it's
slimy for sure. I'm not saying
there's seeds that are getting planted to a judge. Like the Twitch chat is a judge. So if I tie that battle and the Twitch chat is kind of like being influenced by what he's saying, I lose that battle and everything changes. So I think it's just being in the ear of a judge is my problem. It's not the criticism. If you think I sucked, I don't care. It's you being in the ear of the judge, So that's fine.
Remember when Disaster was, I don't know, bigging up saying LA when you were saying, "Oh, that kid, I'm really watching him."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of the same thing. He gave him some more air, some more attention, right? That could have edged the voters a bit. And you know what I mean? I was saying that maybe he was really doing this to Saint LA's opponent by bigging up Saint LA. You know what I mean? So
this was before he even knew that we were battling. I just don't think it's the same. Because like honestly, if Jonny had any criticism of me outside of the Twitch chat, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Like it just is what it is. It's not about being insulted by what he said. It's about the unsportsmanlike, like,
I hear you, man.
you know what I mean? That's all it is. Because selling a fight, obviously, that's what I did. That's why I brought it up, because I'm selling the fight now. So I'm like, let's talk, Johnny. I'm like, you guys fucked around and gave me somebody I want to kill now. So like, but I'm also very rational about the fact that he's a talented dude. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's a piece of shit. I'm not gonna go into a Twitch chat and say he's doing bad. But like, what it comes down to is I know that I got a tough match in front of me. And I'm very, very grateful that he gave me the inspiration to write for him. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
See, so it worked.
It worked.
Well, I don't think it was even meant to work. I think he was trying to like keep me out of the playoffs. He didn't want to battle me. Like, let's get this guy with the lowest score possible so we don't have to deal with it.
Well, then it backfired, right? It's only 50-50.
Well, I was grateful to keep the #1 spot. So I was like, all right, well, still got the #1 seat. I mean, like, shit, it just was what it was. But no, but I'm excited. I'm excited to battle Johnny because I think the energy, like when I think about the people that I could potentially battle, his energy is very much like our energy together is going to make for a really, really good battle. Because I know he's going to be swinging for the fences and I'm going to be swinging for the fences. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure. It's going to be good.
That's the thing too. Like in combat sports, obviously people look at fucking like a Muhammad Ali, right? They can talk you into a loss. Conor McGregor, fucking when he was on his run, he could talk you into a loss before you even put your goddamn gloves on.
Yeah.
You guys talk to each other.
Losses, right?
Yeah, you guys talk to each other for your career, right? So does any of that shit, like the face-offs, the back and forth on Twitter, I mean, you don't seem the type of person that gets in your head, but do you find that actually can work on battlers? If you're talking them shit before the battle, you get inside their head?
It depends on who you're talking to and how socially aware they are. Like if I was battling Disaster and he was trying to get in my head, I'd be like, whatever, bro, you're Disaster. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I couldn't take it seriously because it's such a product of who he is as a human being. But it's like if somebody like found a way to have genuine kind of like problems with you that they were kind of like, then it might be something that could get into somebody's head. But I don't think for me, I've ever been affected by energy except for, I will say, Bobby Lee, because Bobby Lee was a good friend of mine. And we've kind of been able to kind of bounce back from the problems that we had. But I actually genuinely gave a fuck about him as a human being. And the fact that we started having problems leading into the battles that led to name calling and all this shit. I was like, I'm like, how far are we going to take this shit? And both of us were in the spot where like, if we need to fucking squab this out, we need to do that. And like, it came to the point where it was like family talks where it's like, because it like, there are very few people in this battle rap shit that are like my friends, and I would consider Bobby Lee a friend. And so that became a problem. But if it's just some dude that's just like, I'm going to fuck you up in this battle, it's hard to care about, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but it works. I mean, like it works in every field. You talk MMA, think about like, was it Dan Hardy? Like, Dan Hardy, he didn't belong in any title matches. He was just a puncher, you know, like that guy wasn't like but he talked his way into the matches. He got a mohawk. He's doing like he became a brand. And when chaos is your brand, people are attracted to that.
For sure.
Yeah, I do get it. It's good for people.
Who are anyone you're surprised didn't make it to the playoffs?
Oh, a lot of people. Like the biggest issue with the playoffs is that the scoring system just does not reward the best people. Like, Reverse Live is the first name that comes to mind. Excel is another one who didn't have an opportunity to fight for his life. He just basically got no-showed on, and now that's your loss. A guy like Fate got no-showed on. That's your loss. There's a lot of dudes.
Did you see the time situation? Where he beat the two people that are in playoffs now, and he didn't lose a single battle, and he didn't make it.
Oh, times. Well, I mean, in the same, that happened with Bad News too. Bad News was more his own fault, but with Times, it's just very indicative that there's something broken, right? Like
those 3-point games. Well, I follow Times because we're pretty much friends, but at this point we made music and stuff, right? So I was just like the whole thing. He didn't make it by 3 points. He won every battle. And
including one of the guys that's in.
Two guys, I think.
Was it one or two? I know Shoddy P for sure.
Well, he beat Shoddy P.
Yeah. And was there another one or no?
No, because then he battled Cash Money. Cash Money didn't make it, and then
That's right. Yeah. So Shoddy.
No losses, right? No losses.
But no losses. Yeah. perfect
That's
gets punished. It's like, come on. Yeah, so that's kind of the tough part, but I will say, like, what I
that
suggest,
works out. Sorry, hopefully that gets worked out.
that's the
Out of
goal,
that.
right? Like, my suggestion for that was, like, it's kind of, it has to have multi layers, but this would be basically what would happen to stop that from happening. So what's happening is when people get beat really badly, the people are rewarded. Or if somebody chokes, like, let's say in this case of Nan Fierro and the Source basically bows out, it's free points, right? So
Yeah.
to get, I mean, and that doesn't take anything from Essam forever. For me, he's Essam, but like, he basically benefits from somebody else's not showing up, no matter how great he is. So what I suggested is there would be a two-part system, and one would be called the bonus point system. So when you have a really close battle like Saint and Reverse Live, like Times and Shoddy P, the winner, so the crowd would basically vote on if the bonus point was in play at the end of the battle. At the same time, when you're voting for the winner, like, bonus point in play, and you would put the bonus point in play if the two battlers absolutely had a war, and if playoff implications, if they're like, this is a playoff quality battle. So you have two people. So you would put that bonus point in play. So if Times beats Shoddy P in that circumstance, instead of it being 143 to 142, now it's 144 or 145, given an extra bonus or two. And it would only be in play if the Twitch chat said, this is a playoff quality battle between two very close competitive people. Instead, because that way Times makes the playoffs. If he has two battles like that, you know what I mean? And it gives just a couple points. And if you have three very close battles, like, for example, a perfect example of that is Reverse Live. If Reverse Live beats Stewie Newton in that first battle, no, not the first battle. He had Cali Smooth in that first battle. If he wins that battle, he gets a bonus point. That's one. If he wins his next battle against Stewie Newton, he gets a bonus point, because that one's a playoff quality good battle. That's two more points. And in the case of Saint, if Saint gets that point, you know, whatever, if Reverse gets it, it makes a difference. Like, if that system is in play, Reverse makes the playoffs, Times makes the playoffs. You know, a lot of these fringe people make the playoffs that deserve it.
Times was only 3 points, so he would have made it for sure.
Exactly. So that's why vote in a bonus point at the end of it. You say this is a playoff quality battle between two very competitive people. You wouldn't put that bonus point in play if it was like two really terrible performances between people choking. You know, be like, no, this was not a playoff quality battle.
Yeah. That might be a good idea, actually. Hopefully they come up with something
The problem with it is, it's just like MMA scoring. It's so fucking hard to figure out the right criteria. And especially, I mean, every judge is going to look at something a little bit different. No matter how unbiased they try to be, there's going to be something that, you know, that attracts you a little more than other aspects of a battle. It's
Always.
it's going to be so fucking hard to figure out. And it sucks for KOTD and the IJC, because they're trying to do everything they possibly can to make this perfect, right? And they catch a lot of shit for this, right? Every little mistake, or not, you can't even call it a mistake. If somebody just doesn't disagree with it,
right?
They get all kinds of flack.
You can't please everybody, right? It
Exactly.
would be impossible.
Exactly.
So there will be hiccups, right? Just like the tournament went through, there was a couple of hiccups, and the end result was pretty good, I would say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same shit here, right? Obviously, there's going to be some hate during the wave. There's going to be some fuck ups, right? And I think they'll work it out, man. Because
always, I think the one, like, what you're saying is absolutely right. Like, if you're talking about like the big picture, every single one of us has to make peace with the fact that the judges might not like what we're doing. They might have a preference for angles over punches. They might have, like, that's something you just absolutely have to make peace with. So what the suggestion about the bonus point is, it rewards the person that the judges have decided in their not infinite wisdom who won, right? You know, so it's like, yeah, it considers the fact that you guys are fallible people who may not be in as touch as you need to be, but you have decided as a collective that this person won a very close competitive battle with playoff implications. Here's your bonus point. But you're absolutely right. Like, I had to make peace a long time ago with the fact that judges might just not like, I might not agree. And I haven't agreed with a lot of judges' decisions in these tournaments, but I'm also at peace that I am not the entire representation of the culture. I have to allow other opinions to matter and be collective, you know?
That's a sign of a very smart individual.
I'm trying. If I didn't, it'd drive me crazy. I'd be thinking these guys are like determining my worth, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? Like Lou Cipher, we were talking about earlier. Fucking, I don't know fuck all about video games. Or was it some battlers get
Right.
they start talking about comic books and shit?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck is going on. So if
Yeah.
I was a judge and got selected to judge a battle with someone like that, I'm not even gonna know how to judge it.
I
So
wouldn't either. Yeah.
right, and like say it's like, you know, someone who I'm catching everything, like a Mac Myron versus Lou Cipher. Right. It's just I'm going to be way more attracted to what Mac Myron's laying down because I'm not going to get the shit that Lou Cipher's putting down.
Well, the good thing about Lou though is that Lou is also very, very palatable on a layman level. Like Lou is probably to me the most dangerous person in this tournament because he does everything good and he doesn't need to yell. So a lot of people will compensate with energy. Like energy is a power for some people, but Lou says so much that is relevant and well crafted and fluid that no matter what, like when he battled, did you see the Reggie P battle?
Yeah. Yep.
I thought after Reggie P's first round, I was like, he might get Lou the fuck out of there. Like
Yes.
Reggie,
Yes.
But can you imagine how good Lou had to be to turn that room around? Like Lou being able to turn that room around after what Reggie did in that first round scares the shit out of me as a potential opponent. I'm like, I have to figure that out. And I've battled him before, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, granted, we've both evolved a lot since then, but like what he's doing is special right now. And he's very, I mean, I think on camera, you might see certain things, but the battlers that are out here are looking at Lou Cipher like, what the fuck are we going to do about this?
There's a lot of guys like him and other guys in the tournament who are really getting between the Grand Prix last year or being on like the undercard battle, so to speak, on the Grand Prix last year, being in the season this year, where it's really helping brand development for KOTD. I find like season 2. I hope there's a season 2. I hope they continue with this. And
it looks like there will be.
Yeah, we see some returning faces. We see some other new faces because it's really, really building shit. Now, a guy like you, this is a cool thing about this tournament, right? Like if you win all the way through, you'll line up with either Dunch or Bill Collector, right? You could line up. So, I mean, say you take a Jonny Storm, then either Dunch or Bill Collector, a Mac Myron, right? You could line up against him and then whoever it may be in the finals.
Pass, like, right? It's just like,
yeah, right. That is a fucking, like, that is a short-term burst in your resume, correct?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say this to you. It's a long, so let me say this to you. Breaking news. If I beat Jonny Storm, Dunch or Bill Collector, Mac Myron, and pass, I will never battle again for less than $20,000, bro. I will never ever
like that's a pretty impressive list.
I won't have any problems raising my price monumentally, bro. Like it's just like no, that's a lot of very important wins. So I mean, and I think anybody that wins this tournament is gonna have the same benefit, you know, just like taking this money, you know, it's like it's a big deal. So, you know, somebody's gonna get it.
How much is Uncle Sam is taking out of that? Do you know?
In California?
I'm not sure,
over half. Over half. In California,
shit,
we're looking at maybe $47,000, bro. Like,
oh my God.
So, I'm gonna have to get in touch with my tax lady and be like, okay, like what kind of charitable contributions do I need to make to like keep as much of it? Like, maybe I don't know
rent an apartment somewhere in Alaska or something, you know what I mean? Cash your check there.
Oh my God, you do not want to live in California as far as taxes. Like,
holy shit. I thought it would be like 30.
No. Oh, 30? You thought it'd be that? You thought they take 70%?
No. I thought it would be 30.
30%. Okay. Yeah. I was like, whoa. Yeah. No, it's probably, I mean, that's
still a lot, man.
I mean, yeah, it's not it doesn't have the ring of 100,000, right? It's like,
no,
but taxes are a bitch out here. You know, it's funny, like over here in Oregon and Washington, like on the border of Oregon and Washington by Portland and Vancouver, Vancouver, Washington, not Vancouver, Canada. Like, I guess one of them, I think Washington has no sales tax and Oregon has no property tax. So a lot of people will live on that border and just bounce back and forth to buy their shit and to live in the other place, you know. And so they just kind of hover back and forth so they can kind of have that benefit. But like in California, we're just fucked. We have the highest everything because we can never get a measure passed on a ballot that gets denied. Oh, more money to schools. Okay. So they just send money to schools, and then all of like the highest level superintendents spend hella money on nothing, and the schools don't get better. And we just keep shoveling money into the schools, and then we all just pay taxes all the time. So
It's just legal. It's legal corruption, man. That's how they
very
run
much
money.
so. Yeah.
Wow.
That is crazy, man. 47. I did
nuts.
not expect that.
47.
That is fucking nuts. You guys get taxed on like lottery winnings and shit like that too, don't you?
Everything.
I was gonna say here in
Yeah.
Ontario, you win 5 mil, you get 5 mil.
Yeah. If you win the lottery here, you fucking get every cent.
You just
I'm
gotta
not
like
sure how the winnings. I'm not sure how the winnings go. Do you think you get all the winnings? Like if that was to go down here, would you get the full 100 grand?
I don't know.
I don't
Well,
know.
no, because you have to pay taxes because it's not a prize.
well, here we have lump sums, right? Like so you could either take all the money at once and take a chunk of it,
Yeah.
or you could get more of it with less taxes taken out if you span it out over years, like if you win the lottery. That's a lump sum basically. So lump sum means you get a shitload of taxes taken out, but you get it all. And then over time you save taxes, but you can't get it all at once because they can accrue interest on it.
Fuck,
Oh,
man.
shit.
That's like in the States when you guys have that crazy ass Powerball shit that gets up in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
God.
The government is just waiting for somebody to win that shit.
Oh my God.
Holy
That
shit.
benefits them pretty greatly, yeah, when people win the lottery.
So if say if things go well for you, you win this whole tournament, collect your 47,000 and season 2 happens, are you obligated to come back as defending champion?
No, I
No.
don't assume so. I mean, I'm only contractually obligated to finish out this season and to show up and with my rounds. And I don't think after this season, I don't think that I would do a second season. I don't necessarily feel like the weight of $100,000 to me is
47.
not necessarily overpowering the damage that can be done to your brand, given some of the kind of problems with the judging and all of it. Because like at the end of the day, every single one of us is taking a risk with our brand by stepping on a stage and letting people judge us and falling into these like weird situations where you do really well but you get booted out. And so it's like, for me, that's why you don't see a lot of very, very top tier guys doing this, because it's like a brand killer for the people that don't do well in them, So
because look at the times in Real Deal situation. I don't think Real Deal got hurt too much by losing to him.
no, but I mean, but it also helps that Times has done well.
Yeah,
It does help
Time
that
for
Times
sure.
has done well. Times hasn't lost, and that, so of course it's not going to look bad for Real Deal to lose to him because he doesn't lose much.
I guess
So-
true enough. But in tournament settings, it is kind of understood that a top tier guy could lose to a low tier guy just because of the day or the judges or somebody didn't sleep enough.
Yeah. Well, and think about it like this. This is actually a consideration too. Think of all the people who have dropped out of the tournament. Why is it that all of those people are the highest viewed people in the tournament?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's because there's something to lose. And when things stop going their way, they're like, nope, I'm out of here. I have too much to protect.
I think it has to be understood, because as a top tier guy, you would not battle a lower tier guy. Was it not for the tournament setting?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not for 100,000.
So you could have a bad day battling a top tier guy, but I guess it's not as bad for your brand because you're battling somebody, somebody high up in the ranks. And if you have a bad day battling somebody lower in the ranks, that does hurt your brand.
Yeah. Well, and think about this too. Most of what people benefit from is mystery, right? Like, oh, this guy, like, think about Loaded Lux and Murda Mook. They battled 10, like A-Ward has battled more this year than either Mook or Lux has battled in the last 5 combined. So when you think about like the mystery being something that people benefit from, getting into a tournament like this takes away your mystery. And that's why Disaster looks different in a 2-minute round than he does in a 30-minute round against Solcom, because now you are in the trenches with us and you have to play by the rules. And when that happens, you don't look special anymore. You're just a guy in a group of 16 guys trying to win a tournament. And that has the power to hurt your brand when you look like you're above everybody without doing anything.
Let me sidetrack for a bit. How did you feel about that endless battle with Disaster?
Sulkan and Diz.
I was there.
Yeah, you were on that card, right?
I was there. I battled Big K.
Yeah,
that
I thought so.
weekend. I'll tell you how it went for me. I was super amped to see Sulkan come back. And he got into his first round, and the wind came out of that room. So we're like, this is going somewhere, and it never went anywhere.
Yeah,
and it was just like,
and it's still going.
Bro, I left. The round was so long and so uninspiring that I left, and I drove home from Oakland to Richmond, and I got home, and Diz was in the middle of his first round when I got home. So I'm like, an hour, and every one of us has a story like this. Big K has a story where he went back to the hotel and the battle's still going after he smoked a split, took a nap, woke up, the battle's it was an hour and a half battle. Like it's like the Titanic. So like, I don't know what the hell, like, but that
shit.
I was there, and it was very, I think Disaster was the saving grace because his energy was right. He was saying what he needed to say. I just don't ever want to see a battle that long, especially at the end of the night. Like, we'd already watched 8 battles.
Yep.
And then you got to watch an hour and a half battle, and you're on your feet. It's like people are getting squirmy and shit. You're just like, man.
See, I was at Disaster versus DNA when they battled on KOTD years back, right? That was like fucking like pretty much an hour long, and that was at the end of the night. But I mean, fucking getting the opportunity to go to battle rap events in Toronto was new, right? Guys,
the energy was so good for that one.
Exactly, right? And it didn't seem like that. I'm pretty sure Lush said something like, fucking shout out to you guys for having the strongest calf muscles in all battle rap. Fucking yeah, but that SoulCon shit, I mean, I had the pay-per-view and I was watching at home and I turned it off. I was like, this is just shit. Yeah, I could not imagine standing there for 90 fucking minutes after a 2-day fucking event, the end of day 2, standing there fucking probably drunk as shit for an hour and a half trying to get through that. There's no way I would have stuck around.
Honestly, especially giants like that, right? Honestly, it's just my opinion and everything, right? But at that level, when you're top tiering it up, right? I think that 3 to 5 minutes per round should be more than enough for you, because you should be able, you already know somewhat what the crowd's going to react to, what your best sides are, right? So you pack that 5 minutes full of punches or turns or whatever it is, right? And you give the people 5 minutes that are like fucking whoa, instead of 30 minutes like what the fuck, and it's still going. You know,
well, here's one thing I feel like I like a good like 3 to 5 minutes rounds. For me, that's perfect. But
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Especially main events, right? But I think the thing with a guy like Diz is people don't just come to hear bars when they come to see Diz. They come to see a Diz performance. And that, I don't think Diz was the problem. I think Sulkan was the problem. He didn't translate. He'd been gone a long time. He tried to get very conversational, and I wanted to see arms up flailing Sulkan. You know? Like, and if I would have seen that Sulkan, all of a sudden maybe the entire thing changes. But to watch like a timid Sulkan for I don't know what, 40, 50 minutes, where he wasn't necessarily hitting. It was just kind of like, man, I wish you would have come back to something simpler. This is asking a lot of you. Like, so come back, do a 2 to 3 minute round to at least get warmed up into what your rhythm is, instead of diving into this like kind of unknown waters of having 20-minute rounds. And so it was, I don't know, it was a learning experience, I'm sure, but yeah, I was there and it wasn't comfortable.
Have you spoke to anyone outside of the season that's mentioned to you or tried to get some experience from you about what goes on in it to see if they're interested for next season?
I mean, I have a lot of friends in this business, and so I talk to a lot of people. As far as next season goes, there's a lot of names and a lot of people that are in the West that, you know, obviously deserve shots. But there's a you know, this season was, I think they did a really good job of kind of showcasing the talent, showcasing the upcoming talent, kind of like having that variety, and it didn't translate poorly. Like a guy like Fate, showed up, and he belongs there, and now he's going to probably be a mainstay amongst King of the Dot. And when that happens, it's great because you can actually build up the talent. That was what the benefit of the bunker was. Like the bunker showcased a lot of talented dudes against some up and coming dudes, and it proved to be great. As far as people who are kind of like checking in about season 2, obviously I'd love to see Stewie back at it. I'd love to see Rub-a-Tongue back at it, Dev the Demon. There's a lot of guys that have been working hard that that could do really well against these top tier guys. So but who knows, man? To tell you the truth, season 2 is so far away from me right now. I'm like this season, I'm literally staring down the goal right now, and if I could get this right, it'll be life-changing. So
what's the timeline for the playoffs? Do you know if there's a set date for the championship yet?
no, it's my understanding that there's going to be about a month between every match. So
holy shit.
We had it. That's been the trend for the tournament. It's like you get about a month. And so when I battled Stewie, I think it was about, I want to say it's been about a month and a half for me and Stewie, but there was a long time period where I didn't know who my opponent was. So I couldn't exactly like zone in on who I was battling. And I only found that out within like about a month and a week. So it's not like any of us are over prepared. In a perfect world, I would have 2 to 3 months to prep for a perfect battle.
Shit, eh? Do you think that some of the people took battles outside of this? Do you think that's not the wisest idea?
I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
I like but then again, how do I tell Dre Dennis, the battler with the most battles of any battler in the world, that you've got a bad pace? Like whatever he's doing it, and it's kind of like I tend to over prepare. A guy like Dre Dennis, I think his formula is a little bit more formulaic in a sense where he's got what you're going to get when you get a Dre Dennis battle, right? And so he's got that formula down pat, and I think it's a palatable formula that you could do a lot in a short amount of time, and have success with, because there's a lot of energy with it. With me, I'm nuanced. I'm all over the place. I could not do it. I just couldn't, because I put a lot of details into my battles, and I think if you don't have details, then you could fire them out a little quicker.
Clone was going crazy for a while there. I'm not sure what he's doing now.
He had a lot.
Yeah, he was all over the fucking place.
How does your writing process go? Do you write it all down and then just start scratching shit out and making it better, or do you take it one at a time?
I'm all over the place. I'm literally all over the place. Like I'll have days where I just write punchlines. I'll have days where I like write very in a linear way, where I'm just really trying to tell a story. Like if it was a tattoo, it would be a sleeve. It wouldn't be a bunch of pieces, right? So I'm always trying to create a very linear story, but still hit on all cylinders as to what touches a crowd. So I feel like I'm trying to create a masterpiece. I'm trying to create art. Like I don't go out there just try to check boxes. Like I try to create art. And sometimes that's been my downfall, is the sense that sometimes I get too artistic, in the sense where it's not as palatable for like a gladiator atmosphere, like the writers and some of the best writers in the, like Iron Solomon's going to call me up and say, "You're the best writer I know." And I'm going to be like, "Great." But then I'm going to lose a battle. You know what I mean? Like, so it's really hard for me to like try to differentiate what I want to do for myself, and also being effective in this setting where I really need to get people excited. So I feel like I've found that balance pretty good. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. Cause like I write more than anybody. I can guarantee you I'm writing all the time. I never stop at the 5th draft. I move into the 8th draft. I'm like always fixed, like whatever. I'm a meticulous writer. And sometimes, unfortunately, that doesn't help my cause for being a battle rapper, because one thing that's really important in battle rap is just looking like you're engaged and you want to fuck somebody up. So when you overthink it, it doesn't work. So I'm like, okay, let's not overthink this. Let's just fuck some people up. And now I'm very, very effective, So
how do you go about your flows and patterns? And do you ever write to the beat, or do you just create melodies and patterns in your head?
No, like Nestle would be an example of like a beat writer. Like Nestle is the type of dude, well, he'll write, and it works really well for him because he's so good at changing up his cadences and making it sound conversational. But I think for me, like, points stick harder when you say something in a way that's just like I'm talking to you, because if you're in a rhythm, if you kind of like appear to be in a rhythm, sometimes that can be, depending on the opponent, that could be something that is looked at as like almost like a weakness, like you're not human enough. So
Mm-hmm.
the only person that can get away with that absolutely is Big K. Like Big K could rap all of his shit on a beat, but he looks so human doing it. And that's a really rare quality. And that's why he is as successful as he is, because for him to be conversational while sounding on a beat is pretty crazy, dude. It's like, and I've stood in front of him, and it's an energy that is very, very effective. So, but for me, I like to be very unpredictable. I like for people not to be able to know where the fuck I'm going and just hit them out of nowhere. And so it doesn't suit me, because I'm trying to do some wild shit. And
The only reason I'm asking is because I only write to a beat, so it's hard for me to it's hard for me to imagine to write without a beat, right? So that's why I think I've asked shit, what's his name? I forgot the name of the dude, one of the battle rappers that was on the tournament. So I asked him too, and he told me that he writes to the beat. Remember, he said he lays a bed track. Because that's
fuck,
what I
I
do.
forget who that was.
I'll lay a bed track, you know what I mean, and I see what my weak spots were, and then I go and re-record it and nail it.
I think it might be Rosenberg Raw.
Rosenberg. Yeah, that's what.
Rosenberg sounds like he's on a beat. Yeah, that would. And he actually, it's funny because I would put him in the category of, because I battle Rosenberg too. I would put him in the category of people who can humanize a beat. Like he very much still looks like he's talking to you, even though he sounds like he's rapping on a beat. It's hard to pull off, man. And people like Rosenberg and Big K, that's a quality for them that they definitely pull off well.
Sorry,
yeah, Rosenberg is good at that.
Sorry, my dog came up and messing with him. Get out of here. yeah. You know what I mean? But that's because to me that's the perfect way to. That's how I personally would do it, right? I'd lay a bad track and I'd listen to it. I find the weak spots and I correct it. Boom, 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 and then I go and redo it.
Yeah.
How the fuck did you get into this shit?
I grew up in a culture of battle rap. I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in a culture where we would battle rap at house parties. We'd go to clubs. We'd go out to the city, which out this way is San Francisco. Everyone's got their cities. Our city is San Francisco. In Oakland, and go to open mics and battle. Like there was crews out here that were always battling. There was a crew out here that ran an open mic called Forensic Science. And so I would go out there to this restaurant where they would do these open mics, and I would battle with the whole crew. I didn't have anybody, so I was just like battling with them. And this was pretty much like it was just a product of my environment. People would do battles. It was just like we go to parties and start battling, and then it became a bigger thing for me. So then I actually ran a forum for a long time. It was madflex.com.
Oh shit.
I've been Madflex for 20 years now. So and I ran it, and it was a forum where everybody could drop their freestyles. They could record them, they could do text things, they could do whatever they wanted to do. And it was this, we were getting millions and millions of hits. It was actually a really big thing. It was a big piece of my life. Until my host shut down all my shit and I couldn't get it back. Because it was like they said that because it expired, I guess, like within a week, but I hadn't paid it back because I was gonna pay it back, but they shut it down before the week.
When was this?
Oh my God. Year. This must have been back in 2008 or 9.
Because right now, if you would have been heading millions of hits, that shit would have been worth some money.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was I would have kept it. It was a legacy. I was definitely wanted to keep it all. But I just didn't back it up. It wasn't something I ever expected to get as big as it was. But then when that happened, it was like, all right, because I wanted to keep battle rap and hip hop in my life. So we would write songs on there. It was just like a collective, right?
Yeah.
And then after that happened, I went and I got into just because I wanted to get back into the competition of it, and I got into a tournament, and it was an on beat tournament with 32 people in it, and I won it.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I mean, like, it's funny. Johnny's out there. He's like, you can't even rap on a beat. I'm like, bitch, I won a tournament on a beat. You think I'm not rapping? You think I'm not rap? Like, oh my God, I almost don't want to tell him. I'm like, bro, but like, you really think watching a Madflex battle that I can't rap? Like, are we really talking? Like, bro, like I'm rapping more than anybody out here. So yeah, I won the tournament. I sent that because I didn't even have footage. I just sent the tournament clips to Malathion, who was running the West at the time. And he's like, yeah, we're going to get you in this shit. This motherfucker puts me in the headline spot my very first Prove Yourself battle, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was like, because I'm like, okay, I'm like, but like the second I got there, it was like, I cannot tell you, I don't know how much experience you have with battles or being at battles or all, but like the day that I had my first battle, I had no clue that I could not just be a rapper in a battle. Like your personality, there is no, the safety of a beat is gone. So it's just like, if your personality is not palatable to a crowd, it doesn't matter how you're rapping. It doesn't matter what you're saying, because your personality is basically dictating how much they like you.
Yep.
So I didn't even know who I was. And then as the more I paid attention to that, I'm like, these people need to like me. I need to be family with these people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started considering them more and more and more. And then I just kept elevating because I had to grow in acapella battle rap culture. I had no clue how much of your personality is exposed in that shit.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily have one to begin with, because I was just rapping. And then I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna lose if I come out here without a personality.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to show them more of myself. And so you have to dig deeper into the layers of yourself and the conversational parts of yourself, the parts that appeal to people that you talk to, not people that you rap at. And then you get better and better. And now here I am 10 years later. That was in 2012. And now it's, it's been a crazy ride. Like, and I mean, I've loved it, man. It's been really, really the best, one of the most exciting, important things that I've ever done in my life.
Have you ever recorded any? Have you ever like laid down actual tracks?
Yeah, I mean, I was in a band for a bunch of years. We had 3 albums. It started out kind of some hip hop shit, and then it kind of moved in a direction of more like metal.
Okay.
Just because like metal is like, hip hop is fun, but metal is just the shit that gets you excited to move around. So we got into this phase where we were like, and plus I had a guitarist who could shred like a motherfucker, bro. Like this fool is just, and a drummer that's playing double kicks. And so like we had,
So it was like a legit band, eh? Like
legit. Yeah, we won contests to play with like Linkin Park and Fall Out Boy and all these things.
Wow.
Like, we were legit, and I was singing because I can sing. So like, so we did that for years. We were touring up and down the states, and like we played the Viper Room and the Whiskey and Slims and San, like the biggest clubs there were. It's like it was a big part of my life. And so so that took up about 6-7 years. And when I was out of that, I just missed hip hop. I'm like, I really want to get back to this shit. And I got back to it full force, and I've never looked back. So yeah, I mean, and as far as tracks and things like that, my recent stuff, I've messed around with tracks, and I've had little features here and there, but I don't necessarily have much time in my life for it, because I run a business, I pay bills, I do all this other stuff. I'm not like a dude who can just dedicate all my time to music, because I actually have a hustle outside of music.
What's the business, if you don't mind me asking?
I actually run, no, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you if Johnny's gonna watch.
Okay.
I'll tell you after. I'll tell you offline. Yeah.
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 Fair.
So yeah, I mean, there's certain things about you, because the thing is that when you start talking about your shit, bro, like people like you're like Real Deal is going to be a teacher for the rest of his life. It's like when you thought like Arsenal's going to be a bus driver for the rest of his life. It's just kind of like those narratives are just like exhausting in battles, and it's just like, be more clever and come up with some cool shit.
Yeah. Sharon's gonna be a furnace salesman for the rest of his life.
That was his own fault.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that shit has came back to haunt him for years and still going.
Yeah.
That's
But
funny.
but I mean, at the end of the day, like this battling shit is my focus right now, because it's my hustle. Like I make more money battling than I made it with music, by a long shot. So, and plus like I get to see the whole world. I've gone to Manchester and London and Toronto and Boston, like no matter where. I booked in Australia, and that to me is everything, because I would throw away battle rap for travel. Like travel is so, it's just, I love soaking up other cultures and making sure, I love my craft, and I love what I do. Hip hop will forever be a part of my life, but like at this point, I'm very grateful that it's led me to some travel.
Yeah, and obviously winning the season that's your main focus right now, your only focus. But it seems like too now with the Grand Prix, with the season now, I don't know if you can only speak for yourself, obviously, but I see less and less people care about getting the chain. they want to win the bag over the fucking chain.
Well, ever since
Go ahead.
Twitch got involved, right?
Yeah.
Like Twitch came in and they threw a bunch of money at us, and they're just like, all right, well, go fight for this. And we're like, okay, just like, because, I mean, and it is sad because Real Deal is such a great champion. Like, this guy has 2 wins over Chilla in very close battles that you could have, gone either way. But the fact that he pulled them off speaks. Chilla is not an easy guy to beat. And then to beat Sharon, who's damn near impossible to beat, like, Real Deal is doing something special with that title. And he's been on the shelf for over a year, and it's kind of like, so that the hype behind the title disappears, even though the champion is as great as he's ever been. So, but I will say that with these tournaments, it's really, really easy to get invested in them because of the story behind them, because we're all story people at the end. We want the story of the title, but right now we have the story of the tournament. Like, where did these people come from? Where's it going? It's all coming to a close. So I wish that they could have figured out some title matches to put into these weeks. Like, if we, in the 3rd week, we've got Real Deal and Saint, we've got whatever it is, like,
I feel like they should throw in some battles in there now that the playoffs are in, right? Because there's going to be, 2 battles per.
Yeah, as the time goes on, yeah. There's going to be less and less battles to do, right? Because there's guys knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, and I think that title,
I see them throwing in some battles in there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of like if it's always going to be tournament, then the tournament's going to be the only important thing. But if you start to, excuse me, if you put in like if you start to put in elements of the league and not just the tournament, like if we have league rankings and then you're looking at this and you're invested in that just as much as you are in the tournament, and you're kind of like juxtapositioning them together, then there's more to get invested in. Like, okay, this tournament's happening, but in reality, the tournament is nothing absolute. We have judges that may or may not be in tune with what everybody's doing, whatever, but we know whose stock is high. So let's have this outside title that we're all trying to figure out and get to, because it's an important title. It's been around a long time.
Yeah.
You think the winner of the playoffs should go at Real Deal for the chain?
Well, that's what happened with Saint. That's why Saint got the shot, because he won the last Grand Prix.
Oh, we keep saying chain. It's a belt now.
Yes,
I haven't even got used to that yet.
I love belts. Belts are the best.
Well, no, because you get the belt for the playoffs, right? But then if you battle Real Deal, that's got to be for the chain, because Real Deal has nothing to do with
He has a belt now too, though.
It's a different belt, yeah.
It's a belt. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just clued in. My bad.
Yeah, that thing's pretty too. I saw that thing live for the first time when Real Deal brought it out to my XQZ battle. I was like, that's a big ass belt. Like,
what happens to that thing now? If somebody wins, does Real Deal get to keep his, and as a new one comes in, or does he?
No, man. We're not rich like that. No, like, well, that was the same thing like with the bots belt, right? Because when I won the bots belt, I specifically went after the bots belt because every dude on earth watched wrestling and wanted a championship belt. And I saw that belt and I was like, that's a cool ass belt. I don't care who I have to beat. Give me that belt. So I went through and I like finally, when I got the belt, now it's a piece of my legacy because you see it over my shoulder and all these things. And I got this beautiful belt to kind of like look back on. And I'm glad that they moved it, because chains are cool. They're a cultural stamp, because it's kind of like, within hip hop culture, chains are kind of like a relevant thing. But man, those belts, like, I love the belts, and I will say it adds an element of kind of like strength to a champion for sure, especially in a league as big as
the chains were different, right? Everybody got a different chain.
Yeah, some got wooden chains. Yeah. But chains don't cost as much as that belt either. That belt,
that's God, no.
You're gonna pay $2,000, $3,000 for a belt like that.
I haven't touched it, but from the pictures and shit, it looks like it's made nice. Yeah, it's legit.
Like leather strapped. It's got like there's variations of belts, like, and you'll see that in battle rap, because some battle rap leagues have like little plastic belts. They're like the kind you buy. But then the big ones, like the King of the Dot one, like the bots ones, like those belts are multi-$1,000 belts, and you're not going to buy one for every champion. It's just not lucrative for especially smaller leagues.
I mean, Twitch should be able to afford it.
They can. Well, that's why they did it. That's why they have the Grand Prix belt. The Saint got the white belt and Real Deal got the black belt. They had 2 of them, and it's like, I mean, they can afford it. I mean, so that would be awesome. Yeah, if like I went after the belt and I won it, they gave me a brand new one. Shit,
that'd be fucking awesome. Yeah, no shit. Because how long is it going to be before somebody's like, "You're not taking my fucking belt"? They run away with it.
You just got to share it. You're like, Well, I mean, I even considered with the bots belt when I vacated it, I was
Yeah.
like, I can go because I know who made it. Wildcat made it, and I was like, I'll just go to them and get a duplicate. Like, just give me a duplicate of this belt, and I can commemorate it myself. I mean, shit, but I mean, nobody wants to buy their own belt. Like, shit, man. Like, can you kick this one down for me? Like,
Yeah, no shit.
start a
And
GoFundMe from the bots people.
would they be able to do that, or would bots own that design so you couldn't buy it?
I would imagine that you know, if I would imagine that I would probably have to okay it with bots and Dan and everybody.
Yeah, that's what I
them
figured.
like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm gonna get this. I'm sure they would have rights.
Mhm.
But I also don't think that, you know, we have a good enough relationship that I'd be like, I'm gonna
I mean,
duplicate
if
this
you are
belt.
the holding champion, I don't see them stopping you. Like, if you were just some random dude off the street.
Exactly right. I'm just like, I want to be the bots champ, you know, like Dan's like, I don't know.
Oh shit. Fucking outside the tournament, the big talking point that's been going on lately is A-Ward to URL. I personally don't give a shit. People have been talking about that for the longest time, not just A-Ward, but when it's like, oh, this person on a URL stage. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Put them on a stage against a worthy opponent. I'm gonna check it out. A lot of people are talking about, they're saying, like, I even see people saying like A-Ward needs this to secure his career. I don't fucking believe that for a second. What are your thoughts on that shit?
A-Ward is family to me, man. I
Oh yeah,
actually,
I didn't
yeah,
think it was
we
that
get
tight.
along real. Yeah, A-Ward's been to my house, you know, like there's only a handful of like 5 or 6 battles that have been to my house, and A-Ward's one of them. And ever since we battled, you know, the thing that's so special about A-Ward is that he has all of the things that make a superstar. Like and as you can see, he's battled everybody that's ever been on URL. And that's why people are so hell-bent on being like, well, you didn't battle on URL, because that's literally all you can say to A-Ward. But what I will say is that it's more business than anything. URL needs the platform to be more important than incoming battlers. They need that.
Okay.
And the problem is for them is that for a long time, maybe A-Ward, maybe there was an argument that A-Ward was smaller than URL, and that argument is dead. A-Ward is known by everybody in URL. But at the end of the day, I think they're both making business decisions. It was a power move for URL to say you can't come here if it's not for free. And it was a power move for A-Ward to say, I'm not coming there for free. And that's the problem, is you get two people butting heads, they can't come to agreement. And now A-Ward has done himself the service of being undeniable. And now that he's undeniable, it's gonna have to be URL that bends if it's gonna happen, because A-Ward's demands are gonna get bigger. And then he's gonna have more to offer URL than URL has to offer him.
But
So,
then URL locks you in, don't they? That's what I hear. You can't battle anywhere else if you battle on URL.
sometimes it depends though. Like, well, that's the thing. Like a guy like A-Ward is in the position where he's actually being smart enough to dictate those terms. A lot of guys will just dive into a dumb contract and be like, oh, okay, I'll only do this for 5 battles and $100 a battle. It's like, so I could have the exposure of URL. And it's like, a lot of people will do that and they'll lock themselves up. But then you'll notice guys like Geechee Gotti, they battle where they want. You know, guys like, you know, you've seen Geechee Gotti come to run and to KOTD. You've seen him, you know, like, and so there are exceptions to those rules. And A-Ward, rightfully so, wants to allow himself to be an exception to that rule. And if they can't work that out, then the world doesn't change. It still just is a lot of people saying A-Ward's not on URL, and it still doesn't matter. He's got to hustle. He's making money. But the collective battle rap community will always want to have a say in how much success you can have. And with A-Ward, it just hasn't worked. He's transcended every fucking thing. He's risen to every occasion, and he's going to continue to do it because he has legitimate star power, man. Like, I'm always rooting for A-Ward, and I feel like at the end of the day, like, if he was going to fall off, it would have happened a long fucking time ago. He's been hit by killers, and he's lived to tell about it, and he's won most of them.
Yeah, definitely. And who would you like to see if, say, you know, things work out, they put him on a URL stage? Who do you think the opponent is he goes against? Who do you think makes sense?
Who the fuck is left at this point? Like,
that's what,
like,
right.
The thing, like, well, there's always opponents, you know, it's like they're at the point where they're round robining a lot of their top guys because those are their money makers, and that's a smart move, right? Like, we're like, and here's the funny thing is Cassidy the best battle rapper in the world?
Fuck no.
not even close.
No.
But he's the biggest money maker. So people want to watch him fail so bad that they'll pay for it. And so at the end of the day, all exposure is good exposure. And the only thing now A Ward is getting into that point where his exposure is matching his talent. So if you get a guy like A Ward who has both exposure and talent, it's gonna be really nasty. Because if people start getting excited about A Ward the way that they're excited about Sue Surf and they're Rum Nitty and they're waiting for him to come on, like I can't even imagine where that's gonna go. Because A Ward is doing way more than popular guys. Like he's better at writing, he's better at freestyling, he's better at energy. His skill set. It's like if we're playing 2K, he's just like lining those 90s all the way through.
I have to agree with you, man. A Ward has been on a fucking tear.
And you know who I'd like to see? You know who I'd like to see? T-Top. I want to see A Ward and T-Top in his URL debut. That would be great. Or Twerk. Those two.
Yeah. Twerk would definitely be fun. T-Top would be too, for damn sure.
Twerk was lined up. Twerk was lined up.
With A Ward?
That was almost A Ward's debut, and then Twerk got into the car accident.
Oh shit, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. And was it the same sort of shit then? Did they want him to battle Twerk for free?
I think so, and I think he was almost willing to do it. At that point, right? This was
at that point.
That was before the 22 battles he had this year against the most important guys in the world. So, but yeah, like he was lined up to do it because it's a great look. Your URL debut is Twerk. Like, come on, man. Like that's an easy call. Like I'd take the loss for that one. That's just a smart business move. Yeah. But instead, when that didn't happen, he took the bull by the horns and made his own business move. So.
Yeah, and it's worked out for him for goddamn sure because everyone tunes into A Ward battles, and he's he battles so frequently too, where you don't even like we were talking about before, guys that have like a mystique, right? There's a mystery, they're not around all the time. A Ward's always in your fucking face. He's just shoving it down your throat.
That's the craziest thing about him.
It's quality content all the time. Even the battles that are unjudged, where most people might say he came up short in. He still had great content. He still got his rounds off. You don't see him choking, showing up half-assing it. None of that shit.
Yeah, he's got a system. He's another one of those guys that his system and his formula, it works so well. It's just so palatable and it's so crowd reaction worthy. And not to mention that he's so quick off the fucking top that it's just like, another person might have a great round that's just like a round of the year and he can neutralize it in one bar. And he's just found the niche and he's doing it so much that how does he lose steam? He's institutionalized in battle rap.
Shit, eh?
22 battles in a year.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. That is nuts. He must just write non-stop.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining at this point he's in such a rhythm that his mind must just be constantly firing off punchlines, because that's how I get when I'm deep into it. But I've only had 6 battles this year. That's a lot for me. Like 6 is, and that's not even that's one every couple months. And that's a lot when you prepare. But a guy like A Ward is shooting off like classics every month.
Yeah.
So his work ethic, the way that he does it, his rhythm is something special. And
you see artists like in music, right? And they have these moments, right? Like they took Lil Wayne years to carry Carter 4, you know what I mean? And that thing was insane, right? So that's what I mean. Maybe A Ward is just in his moment right now, so he's fucking going for it all, right? He's just like, this is me right now. This is working, so let's fucking pump it as much as I can.
You're right. I know he's really trying to make champion of the year looks stupid if they don't get him in there. That's because they had him at like 19 last year or something like that or whatever, and he's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I think it's like A Ward has done a really good job of waging war on people who won't let him shine, and he's winning the battle by a long shot. So I always wish well for that guy. He's he's my international pal. We've been everywhere together. We've been to Toronto together. We've been to Manchester, to London, nice. Boston, Chicago. Like we've been Oakland. We've been all over the world together.
Yeah, I guess when you're on those road trips like that, and you don't have, everyone from your fucking neck of the woods with you, you buddy up, you relate to who you relate to, and you fucking probably stick together for the trip, and then you got a fucking friend for life.
Yeah, we always mess around because there's like a few of us where it's like they got their own four horsemen, but our four horsemen are usually me, A Ward, Chilla, Real Deal. If you tell me those guys are going anywhere, I'm gonna fucking go. Like those guys are like family to me, So, it's always really, like if you tell me, and a lot of times we've done that. It'd be like that's what we did for that last shit with the England trip where I battled Soul, and it was like I called up Chilla. I'm like, get on this card, bro. It's just like so Chilla called them up. And he's like, give me anyone on this card. And he just ended up with Major Concerns, and Major Concerns kind of popped off from that. And it's always weird how it works out. Cause I'm like, hey, me and Real Deal are here. A Ward's battling Shocks. Get the fuck on that plane, bro. He's like, I got you. So he reached out to the league, and that's how it's worked for us. We're all just like,
holy shit, eh?
You give me those three guys, I'm going anywhere.
So outside of battle rap, before we let you get out of here, I know you're a combat sports fan. This weekend, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. Who do you like? What do you like?
Oh my God. I don't even know. To tell you the truth, like I haven't kept up with the lighter weights. I got, to tell, like, as far as Oliveira and Poirier, they're just bangers, bro. Like I want to see, my first instinct is Oliveira. I can't even tell you why. I think that I don't know. Poirier is kind of like he either is going to be great or he's not, and he's just we're going to see what comes of it. It's weird because as these guys age, things change.
Definitely,
and guys get punch drunk, and then they get But I don't know. I couldn't even call that one.
Yeah, I really don't know who the fuck to call on that one too. And I covered this shit for like
Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin. I covered this shit for like 10 years too, right? And at that time too, I knew fucking all the ins and outs and who was who. And
oh yeah, me too. Like early shit.
Yeah, I knew fighters I like fighters in other countries that fucking no one's ever heard of. I knew they were coming here soon enough and shit.
Same. Yeah, I used to watch a lot of Pride and a lot of so back when Rampage came to the UFC, I was like, oh shit.
I love Rampage, man.
And but yeah, I was actually I actually lived very close to Cesar Gracie camp.
Oh wow. Nice.
So I've done training with people that went to Cesar Gracie and learned some shit through them. I'm a huge Diaz brothers fan, Jake Shields fan, because they're all from out here. And so I've always been deep into mixed martial arts, and I coached wrestling for 8 years. So like been deep into it.
Shit, that's cool. What in like a wrestling league or a high school or like?
No, like a high school and junior high. So like I wrestled through junior college, and then I went to college and at Davis, which is where Uriah Faber,
UC Davis.
Yeah. So like I just got to the point where I started working and fell out of it, but I actually coached high school wrestling and junior high school wrestling for 8 years.
Holy shit.
And I loved it, man. I we had a lot of success. We started out 0-6. Within 2 years, we were 5-1. And it was a fun time for me. And wrestling is always going to be one of my first loves, just because I did it all through high school into college, and then I got a job now that I work nights, so I can't do the coaching anymore. So with that, like but I still like, I'm not as connected to the scene of MMA as I was for several years. Like I kind of haven't been able to keep up with a lot of the up and comers.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. Right, like I could talk on an Oliveira Poirier, but further down the card, I was looking at the card yesterday, the day before, and I was like, I don't know those fucking guys.
Yeah, well, like there's people like I always keep up with like Rose. I'm always keeping up with Rose. I'm always keeping up with it's like I can't even say her name. The Nunes.
Yeah, she fights this weekend too. She's fighting Juliana Pena.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know Juliana Pena. So.
Yeah, see, I think fucking no disrespect to Juliana, but I think fucking Nunes.
Well, who's gonna beat him
right?
At this point, man? Yeah,
it's fucked up everyone.
Yeah, it's kind of like but yeah, I kind of just casually check in when I see like Usman, and I'll see like random people that I'm kind of like, oh, I want to see these fights. I'm always gonna watch Lewis fight just because he's hilarious, like. But
yeah, he is fucking funny. Yeah, man. I don't think we're gonna see John Jones back probably ever.
That guy, God dang it, man! You're on top of the world. Your legacy is greatness, and you still find a way just to like not.
Hookers and blow. Hookers and blow.
Hookers and blow.
It changes the game, bro. Yeah, definitely. Hookers and blow is not the formula for legacy.
No, that is not the recipe for success.
No, not these days.
Not even fucking.
Not ever.
close.
Yeah.
Right.
No
They were
shit.
building it up so much, right? He was crossing the weight. He was fucking like, this was supposed to be the big bang, and he fucked it up.
Oh my God, man. And he's not getting any younger either. So it's kind of like, all these matches, all these potential matches that he could have had are just passing him by,
All the money he fucked up for a few rails, man. Jesus.
Yeah. Think
No
about
shit.
it. Like all the sponsorships, all of it. It's just like,
Crazy.
Fuck, he was sponsored by Nike and Gatorade at one point.
that's
What?
ridiculous.
That's Michael Jordan. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
He pissed.
I
it
don't
all
know.
away.
But I mean, he's still like the reason why we keep coming back is because nobody can beat him. It's like at the end of the day, he's still the best to ever do it. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's fucking nobody better than him.
I mean, but it's been a long time since he fought, and it's been a long rail since. You never know, man. You might come back and just get wrecked.
yeah.
So
You
the
want to
fuck-
hear a funny story? I was at a concert, and it was like a R&B like hot summer nights concert. And it was like Boys to Men and like a bunch of like people that are just like Drew Hill and Jodeci and all these like old R&B groups.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just sitting in line, like, getting ready to buy some fried chicken, and I'm just chilling. And then I turn around, and literally right behind me is Daniel Cormier. And I just turn around. I said, I'm like, hey, are you Daniel? He's like, yeah, I'm Daniel. I'm like, bro, I've been watching you since Oklahoma State. And he's like, oh shit. And he's like, I was like, yeah, I go, I'm a wrestling coach. So I'm like, this ain't some MMA shit. I've been watching you a long time. He's like, oh, well, that's what's up. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna let you rock, but I'm gonna get my food. But like, cause I don't want to be like, stand out on him and shit. But I've been watching Daniel like for a long time. Cause I kept up with Mark Munoz because Mark Munoz wrestled out here where I wrestled.
Yeah.
And so he wrestled with Cormier, and so I was watching all those Oklahoma State matches, and so I was like, oh shit, like I genuinely like watched you guys beating the shit out of people back in the day, and so that was interesting. I'm like just run into him at a fucking concert, and I'm like, oh,
No shit, eh?
I turn
Yeah.
around and he's behind me, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, Cormier's the
Daniel
nicest.
Daniel Cormier, hello.
He's the nicest fucking guy. I interviewed him
dude.
so many times, and he was always
you?
just the coolest shit. Yeah, Mark Munoz too. That motherfucker. I think it was when he retired. He's the nicest guy you'll ever talk to. So,
Bro, you'll never meet a nicer guy. You
No
never
shit.
will.
so
I was at a tournament, like we were at a tournament one time, and we were looking at the brackets and shit like that. And I was a freshman, and I don't even know like what he was, but I was not good at that point. I was a freshman. So and he's like, where are you on the bracket? And I was like, I'm right there. He's like, oh, you gonna beat that guy? I was like, I don't know, blah blah blah. And I'm like, where are you on the bracket? And he's like the number 1 seed, and he like shows me. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, okay. And then so like that, and he was like super encouraging, like even when I was a freshman, he's like, yeah, you got it, blah blah blah. And just like he's just a born leader, dude. Like he's just like one of those dudes that is just so easy to root for because he's just a genuinely good dude, bro.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, like so and sure enough, he went through that tournament like it was butter, bro. He just fucking was amazing.
Yeah, I did a few phone interviews with him for print, and I called him the one day to do one. I call his phone, he answers the phone, and he's like, pretend he's all pissed off. I'm like, this is real weird for Mark Munoz to be like this. And he's like, you can't just call me. You can't just call me. You got to give me a heads up. I was like, you had a heads up. This was already scheduled. And I could tell him on speaker, and he's just like giving it to me. Like, you can't just call me. You can't just call from a number I don't know, from a country that I'm not in, and all this shit. I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Then I just hear all these people burst out laughing. The fucker set me up. He's like, I'm going to get this guy. Yeah, Mark was the nicest guy, man. The nicest guy.
And he still is. He's still very much like he runs a camp down in LA. And, I know he was with Rain for a long time.
Yeah.
And, just teaching kids how to beat people up. I know his son actually, because we're friends on Facebook. And his son is an amazing wrestler. Like his son is doing some big things. So
nice. It's not surprising. Not surprising.
Sorry, I keep twitching while you talk because I got a back injury, man. You know what I mean?
No, what happened to you?
Roofing, bro.
Oh man.
Roofing injury. Yeah. I'm slipping a L4 in my lower back.
Oh, that's a bad one. Yeah, like
I don't want you. I don't want you to think that I'm bored or something, because I got.
Nah, I'm not judging you. I'm not over here judging you.
Yeah, I gotta twitch every couple of minutes for real,
Should
because
be.
you know what I mean.
No, yeah, it's like was that like stemming when you're kind of just like have to make use of your hands or have to do something like I imagine I
What's
probably
yeah?
do that
I
sometimes.
just get really stiff, right? So I gotta stretch it a bit, then I'm good, and then I gotta stretch it a bit, and I'm good. It's just
Yeah,
that's my life, man.
no judgment here, man. Yeah, there's whatever you got to do to survive.
All right, so you and Jonny Storm, is it gonna go down like fucking Busy Bone and Juicy J on versus?
I doubt it,
No
man.
shit,
Throw
Like-
water bottles and shit. No, I hope
Uh,
not.
Bring
The
the
last
Nah,
thing
I'm-
anyone wants to
over
see.
the hip throw.
Just throw left-handed mic throw. Yeah, just I think the thing is that I'm rooting for everybody, and I was rooting for Johnny, and that's why I took it personally when he wasn't
except for
rooting.
Johnny this time.
Well, no, I mean that's why that's why I took it personal when he wasn't rooting for me, because at the end of the day, I'd like to see any one of these guys win that money, and the fact that he got in my way of winning that money and he took it among himself to do that is a lot of motivation for me. I don't hate him as a person, but he's gonna eat a fucking clip.
Oh,
Good. That's
I'm
good.
not
That's what I want to
coming
hear.
out here to play with him, in the way that I play with some people. Cause like I tend to get rapidy because I like doing that shit. I'm like, I don't care. There's no real consequences for me being rapidy. But like the last few times where people have kind of like said some shit that rubbed me the wrong way, it was Bobby Lee and it was K Philosophy. And battles like that went really, really bad when I get in a zone where I really want to take somebody's head off. And I think that he put me in that spot. And unfortunately, I only have 2.5 minutes to do it because I got a lot to say. So,
I can't fucking wait.
That's what I'm saying.
and he's going to do the same thing. I know he's going to come out there. I know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to make it sound like I'm crying about being insulted. And it's like, I hope you do. I hope you do, because it's not even about the insult of it's not about being insulted. It's about you trying to change the playing field and essentially cheating, That's what it's about. Like you're going to go out and try to convince people of a narrative when they have to cast a vote. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I got some shit to say to the guy, and I'm more prepared than I've been this whole tournament. I'm already done. I'm done with my prep. So, and I got fucking 10 days. So like I've never been done this early. So, I might even go back and make some changes and fucking micromanage even more. But like, I'm really looking forward to it because I could see it being one of the best battles of the weekend. Like just because both of our energy is going to be fueled, because I know I pissed him off too. And oh my God, I welcome it. I'm like, come fucking show me how pissed you are.
Nice.
Like, let's talk about that, because like, I don't think there's enough of that in this first round. Like people are acting like, okay, let's play nice. I'm done playing nice, man. I want to beat him, and then I'll be very ready for Dunch or Bill. Everyone's like Dunch and Bill. Like, bro, I've been doing this shit a long fucking time. Give me Dunch or Bill. Like, give them to me and see if it turns into this shit where Dunch can just be fucking, be Dunch for 3 rounds and have that be enough against a guy like me. Like I do everything. Like I can span any skill set. Like, I mean, that's one thing about me, is that I can be in so many different bags. Like I can figure out what I need to do when I go against people. And I like that challenge. And Dunch is great and Bill is great. But like, if I didn't think I could beat both of them, then why would I be here?
Yeah.
Like,
No
I'm
shit.
not here to be a doormat for 2 popular guys. I'm here to be a better battle rapper than anybody that's in front of me.
Yeah, fucking get those 4 wins in a row. Demand
Oh,
your
I
20K.
hope so, man. Oh, I hope so. It would be fun. It's so funny because I can't determine any of it. I just feel like completely like out of control. It's like I don't know. There's certain judges where I'm just like, that person will never vote for me. Ever. And I just gotta hope for the best, bro. I already know that like whatever happens and it's out of my hands, but I'm sure gonna put on a show.
That's all we can ask for you, my man. Well, thank you so much for your time. Before I let you go, though, let everybody know where they can find you and all that shit.
All socials are on Madflex Hip Hop. It's Twitter at Madflex Hip Hop, Facebook, Twitch. What's the other one? Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Madflex Hip Hop on all of them. Yeah, that's where to find me. I'm always getting into some shit, and hopefully if I keep this tournament going, like if I could win this 100 too, I have a big plan to kind of like find a way to contribute back to battle rap. And so that's, now that I have the goal, I just got to find a way to do it. And
You
so
start
that
in
would
a
be
league?
fun. No, not even a league. It's actually like kind of like this project that I have to put on hold because I don't want to spend money I don't have. But it's kind of like a cool way that will create equity and representation in areas of kind of like where there's not a lot of representation, and put it there in a way that's kind of entertaining and educational for people to kind of see the way that some of the entertainment that we have and some of the activities that are available to us aren't always available to people in lower class places as they are in upper class places.
Okay.
All right.
So it's kind of like that, and I want to have some battle rappers that I can connect up with to kind of like showcase exactly how capable people are of being great if given an opportunity to be great that they wouldn't normally be given an opportunity for.
That's nice.
That's
a good
fucking
cause,
dope, man.
Yeah, so that's the money that I can spend that I don't have. So, and I might even try to pull that off if I don't win, but I think that like I felt like I needed to come up with something to, kind of like have this mean something for me. I don't just want to have $100,000. I want to find a way to use it to put back in to battle rap what I've gotten from it.
That's fucking dope, man. Very admirable.
It is.
Yeah, I'm trying, man.
I'm trying. All right.
I got to get it now.
December 18th, live and free on Twitch. Check out Madflex versus Jonny Storm, plus a bunch of other battles, and then stay tuned after that for the dates coming up. Cheer for Flex to win four in a row so he can demand that 20K per battle.
I hope so, man.
All right. For Madflex, Kirill Kasatskiy, I'm Jay Kelly. It's the building downtown. We out. Peace.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, brother.
Thanks for coming through.
Building downtown.